Over the years, there have been more and more gun laws put into play, making it hard for people to acquire guns and ammo. Many people believe that guns are killing people, but what these people are forgetting about is the person pulling the trigger. Through a tremendous amount of research, I've learned that guns are not the problem. How can guns be the problem if a gun cannot make a choice? People make choices, and many people choose to kill. So, how are these gun laws affecting those who choose to kill? Death and crime rates are not perceptibly reduced through gun control because such legislation does not prevent the professional criminal, the alleged root of the problem, from obtaining a firearm. Even if this did reduce that number, there are plenty of substitutes. In this article, Cook talks about how criminals are criminals for a reason, and the good ones aren't in jail because they're good at what they do. Obtaining a firearm as an expert criminal is as easy as taking candy from a baby. Now think about this. Criminals are still getting firearms whenever they please, but the good citizen can't get a gun. What is that person supposed to do when they get robbed at gunpoint in their own home? They are defenseless. Now assume that person has a gun. They can defend themselves from being robbed or even killed. In Brazil, there was a debate whether or not to keep the right of privately owning a gun. This debate was about more than just Brazil. The outcome of this debate would determine the future for many countries. The International Action Network on Small Arms is an organization that represents more than 500 gun control organizations worldwide. They believe that if the law was passed, it would reinforce the movement in favor of gun control in other Latin American countries riddled with armed violence, and back the efforts to control private gun ownership at an international level. Although nearly 38,000 people are killed in Brazil each year by firearms, the Brazilians rejected the ban of guns by nearly 2-to-1 margin. That is because Brazilian people know that if they ban the gun rights, it would be diminishing to civilians, not the criminals. Putting a law into play to keep people from owning guns could reduce the number of people owning guns, but the majority of the firearms still out there would be in possession of the people we don't want to have the guns. The criminals are begging for the people to get rid of guns. They know that these laws won't affect them, and it'll be easier for them to commit crimes and, if needed, kill. A solution to this problem comes from the article Policy Lessons from Recent Gun Control Research by Gary Kleck. He says that we can have gun control laws, but we should limit guns to those who have a history of violence. The media likes to bring out the issue of normal civilians randomly acting out in rage, killing someone, but the truth of the matter is that is rare. The media typically tells the truth, but does not always give the full story. The popular image of a model citizen who one day goes berserk and kills a family member is largely a media-created myth, maintained by news people enamored with dramatic contrast between extremely violent acts and supposedly peaceful backgrounds. He goes on to give a real-life story about the Texas Tower Killer, Charles Whitman. The news mentioned that he was a choir boy and Eagle Scout, but failed to mention the facts about him being raised in a violent home, being court-martialed while in the Marines for fighting, and repeatedly beating his wife. It is possible that with a system of background checks involved in selling guns to people, that could help lower the homicide rate without depriving people of their rights they have earned. Guns are used as self-defense 2.5 million times a year, 6,850 times per day. These facts mean that guns are used 80 times more to protect the lives of good citizens rather than to take a life. A quote from the article Fact Sheet, Guns Save Lives, written by GOA, says that of the 2.5 million times citizens use their guns to defend themselves every year, the overwhelming majority merely brandish their gun off of a warning shot to scare off their attackers. Less than 8% of the time, a citizen will kill or wound his or her attacker. Even anti-gun Clinton researchers said that Uh, Even anti-gun Clinton researchers said that guns are used for self-defense at least 1.5 million times per year. If that 1.5 to 2.5 million citizens in these scenarios did not own a firearm, what could have happened in these scenarios? Many of these cases could have resulted in death for the citizen abiding by the law versus the criminal that obtained a firearm under the table. It is obvious that criminals in these scenarios would much rather the person they attacked not to have a gun. If you are a stone cold killer, are you going to attack someone if you believe they have a firearm, or are you going to attack the person that has no self-defense and is very little risk to yourself? Many people believe that guns are the issue, and that they are killing people. The fact of the matter is that is just not true. What most people don't realize is that there are many different things someone can use to kill someone. It just so happens that a gun is the easiest thing to use. But what people are missing is there's a common factor whenever there is a homicide committed. Whether it be with a gun, brass knuckles, a knife, or even a rock, there is always a person that is committing the homicide. The people that use the term guns kill people are missing the main problem. Using that term is irrelevant. If someone lays a gun on a table and aims it right at someone, there is no danger. It takes that person to pick up the gun and pull the trigger. You could have the same scenario with a knife or even the rock. The knife is not going to stab someone unless the person picks it up and desperately tries to kill. Guns do not kill people. We need to look at the root of the problem, and that problem is people. But the solution to that problem is also people. To lower the homicide rate, we need to put firearms in the right hands and do our best to keep them out of the wrong ones, as well as removing the weapons they already have. Laws that put these statements into action will lower the chances of a killer being able to act on their ambitions.